Imagine a young woman, just 20 years old, driving home from work on a quiet spring night. She's chatting and laughing with a friend on the phone, her whole life still ahead of her. Suddenly, in an instant, everything changes forever. A loud crash, shattered glass, then silence. Alexa Bartell had become the random victim of a brutal thrill kill, her bright future stolen by a senseless act of violence that would shock her entire community. This is the story of a heinous crime, a family's heart-wrenching loss, and a town's quest for justice, a shattered peace. April 19, 2023 seemed like an ordinary evening in Jefferson County, Colorado. But under the cover of darkness, evil was about to strike on the quiet roads. At 10:15 p.m., Uber driver Nathan Tipton was cruising down Highway 93 during his usual shift. Out of nowhere, an explosive sound shook his car. Glancing over, he saw his driver's side windows blasted to pieces. Rattled, Nathan pulled over and called 911 to report the frightening incident. He had no idea he had just become the first target in a sinister spree. Just a half hour later, 20-year-old Alexa Bartell was making her way home from work, laughing and talking on the phone with a friend like any other night. In a flash, their cheerful conversation was cut short by a deafening crash, followed by an eerie silence. Alexa's friend grew concerned when she didn't reply. As soon as her shift ended at 11:05 p.m., she decided to track Alexa's iPhone location, desperately hoping her friend was okay. A brutal discovery. Following the digital trail, Alexa's friend soon faced a waking nightmare. She came upon Alexa's yellow Chevy Spark wrecked in a ditch along Highway 128. Peering through the shattered windshield, she saw Alexa slumped motionless in the driver's seat, her body bloody and still. Fighting shock, she dialed 911 and made a tearful call to Alexa's mother to share the horrific news. Broomfield police officers were first on the grisly scene. They found Alexa battered and pulseless, a gaping hole in her windshield, blood pooling from a massive head wound. Tragically, paramedics pronounced the young woman dead on arrival, her life cut short by an unknown assailant. Investigators immediately recognized this was no simple car crash. Damage analysis by Colorado State Patrol made a chilling determination some kind of heavy object had violently smashed through the windshield from outside, brutally striking Alexa in the head. At the scene, detectives discovered an ominous clue. A large, blood-stained rock weighing nearly 5 pounds, bigger than a softball. Preliminary forensic tests detected Alexa's blood on the crude weapon, all but confirming she was deliberately attacked and killed by someone hurling the boulder at her moving vehicle. But who would commit such a random, ruthless act? And for what reason? As police widened their search, a disturbing picture emerged. Alexa was not the only victim that night. Over a mere 2-hour span, a total of 7 vehicles were maliciously attacked across the area. 2 other drivers sustained minor injuries from shattered glass, with 5 cars total having front windshields bashed in. Alexa's case was the final and fatal blow in what appeared to be a shockingly coordinated series of attacks. Community united in grief. Word of the disturbing crime spree spread quickly through the tight-knit community. Residents were horrified and outraged that such a vicious, senseless attack could happen in their quiet hometown. Alexa's family and friends were overwhelmed by grief at the loss of such a bright, kind young woman who had her whole life ahead of her. As shock turned to anger, the community galvanized around a single mission: to find Alexa's killer and bring them to justice. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office sprang into action alongside the Boulder County Sheriff, Arvada Police, and Westminster Police. Detectives worked around the clock chasing down leads, while forensic teams processed the crime scenes. They pulled surveillance videos and cell tower data, searching for any clue to identify the perpetrators. Suspects unmasked. A major break finally came on April 25th, less than a week after Alexa's murder. A tipster named Joseph Bopp came forward claiming to have key information. In police interviews, Bopp revealed a chilling story. On the evening of April 19th, Bob's former co-worker, 18-year-old Joseph Koenig, invited him to hang out. Arriving at Koenig's house, Bob met up with Koenig and two other young men, Mitch Carroll Chick and Zachary Kwak, both also 18. The group piled into Carroll Chick's black Chevy Silverado pickup truck and started cruising around town. They eventually pulled into a Walmart parking lot. When Bob returned from a restroom break, he was shocked to find the other three grabbing landscaping rocks from the lot's perimeter and filling up the truck's back seat. Bob estimated they loaded up as many heavy stones as they could carry, a disturbing revelation. Sensing the teens had malicious plans for the rocks, Bob became extremely uncomfortable. He knew Koenig had a history of vandalism and property damage and seemed to get a thrill out of destruction. But fearing Koenig's volatility if confronted, Bob stayed quiet. As the truck started moving again, Bob demanded to be taken home, wanting no part of their dangerous scheme. The other three reluctantly dropped Bob off before continuing on their mission. Bob's information gave investigators the first real lead, detailed descriptions of three possible suspects and the vehicle used in the attacks. With this tip, the police honed in on Koenig, Carroll Chick, and Kwak. The very next day, a SWAT team swept in and arrested all three teens at their Arvada homes. The 18-year-olds, all local high school seniors, were hauled in for questioning. Carroll Chick and Kwak eventually gave statements, while Koenig lawyered up and remained silent. Confessions and accusations. Carroll Chick admitted to a disturbing history of thrill-seeking violence. He and Koenig had made a pact as blood brothers to throw rocks at random cars in the past, just for twisted fun. He confessed they all gathered rocks that night, but claimed Kwak was the one who threw the fatal blow that killed Alexa. Kwak confirmed he was in the truck that night and participated in the attacks, but insisted he wasn't the killer. He said he impulsively decided to join Koenig and Carroll Chick's deranged scheme to drop rocks off overpasses. While Kwak admitted to throwing some rocks himself, he accused Koenig of launching the large boulder that struck Alexa's vehicle. Kwak described hearing a loud boom and a railgun-like sound as the rock shattered through the young woman's windshield. He said the force was so great, it sounded like a block of concrete had hit the car. The teens watched in shock as Alexa's car veered off the road and crashed, the driver almost certainly dead or gravely injured. Instead of calling for help, the trio made a chilling decision. Kwak claims they all agreed to circle back to the crash site to take a memento photo of the wrecked car with Alexa's body inside. But he denied being the one to throw the fatal rock. As Carroll Chick and Kwak pointed fingers, Koenig remained tight-lipped. But the evidence increasingly placed him at the center of the crime. An arrest affidavit indicated Koenig was likely behind the wheel when the deadly attack occurred, meaning he was well positioned to throw the massive rock himself. Investigators also uncovered Koenig's disturbing social media history, which cast the attacks in an even darker light. Several people who knew Koenig came forward with an unsettling image he had posted on Facebook back in December 2022. It showed Koenig posing with a motorcycle sticker that read, "Just killed a woman feeling good." The quote seemed to come from a popular gaming YouTuber named TommyInit, who said the line while playing Minecraft. But given the timing, Koenig's post took on a disturbing foreshadowing of the very real murder he would later be accused of. Police also discovered Koenig and Carroll Chick's blood brother oathed to stay silent if they were ever caught. And just one day after Alexa's death, Koenig secretly met up with Kwak to coordinate their stories and denial of involvement if questioned. But the determined investigators built an overwhelming case, tying all three young men to the vicious crime spree that turned deadly. In May 2023, the trio was hauled before a judge to face charges, including murder, staring ahead stoically with their hands cuffed. Each teen was slapped with a slew of extremely serious charges for their alleged actions that night. Nicholas Carroll Chick, Joseph Koenig, and Zachary Kwak were all accused of the same 13 crimes. These included one charge of first-degree murder for killing Alexa Bartell. There were also 6 charges of trying to murder other people in the attacks. On top of that, they faced 3 charges each of second-degree assault and attempting first-degree assault with the rocks. Together, the charges conveyed the gravity of the teens' actions, a callous disregard for human life with deadly consequences. If convicted, they could face life behind bars for cutting short Alexa's bright future in such a cruel, senseless way. At the court hearing, only Carol Chick showed any visible unease, looking shaken as he exited. Kwak mostly stared ahead blankly. But Koenig, the alleged ringleader, smirked to his lawyer at times, his demeanor unchanged. All 3 were jailed without bond while awaiting their trial. As news of the arrest spread, it sent shockwaves through the community. Neighbors and classmates were stunned to learn the quiet teens in their midst were accused of such a heinous act. Some who knew Koenig said they weren't entirely surprised, citing past instances of troubling behavior. But few could conceive of an evil so random and reckless. Community mourns. While the arrests brought some resolution, the community continued to reel from the profound loss of Alexa Bartell. Family and friends remembered the vivacious 20-year-old as an incredibly bright light, a young woman of deep faith and compassion who lived life to the fullest. Alexa had been thriving in her job at a flooring company and was deeply in love with her girlfriend. She had a tight-knit family and countless friends who adored her joyful, uplifting spirit. Her senseless death left a void that could never be filled. As the legal case against Koenig, Carol Chick, and Kwak slowly ground on, the community rallied to honor Alexa's life. Candlelight vigils, fundraisers, and memorial rides were held in her name. An outpouring of support lifted up the Bartell family as they faced every parent's worst nightmare. Loved ones vowed Alexa's death would not be in vain, but rather a catalyst to spread more light in the world, as she had always done. The story of Alexa Bartell is a harrowing reminder of the fragility of life and the senseless cruelty that can strike in an instant. Her shocking murder reverberated deeply, shattering her family and an entire community. While her loss cut short a promising future, Alexa's legacy endures through the countless lives she touched and the lessons of love and resilience she leaves behind. As the suspects await their fate, the community comes together to ensure justice is served. But most of all, they unite in remembering Alexa, celebrating the brilliant light she brought to the world during her vibrant 20 years. Through continuing to share her story and her joyful spirit, Alexa's light shines on. This was Agent Magpie, and remember guys, be good. And if you can't be good, be careful.